Now, how can these green jobs, how can they be an economic engine in your state? And part of the National Apollo Plan, we believe that we need to establish a federal energy smart fund. And this fund will finance homeowners and commercial businesses, industry, and public investment in high-performance buildings, with the goal of reducing energy in our buildings 40% by 2025. And as some of you may know, 40% of the CO2 in the atmosphere is a result of buildings, or 40% of the energy consumed is consumed in buildings. We also want to establish an aggressive program to promote domestic manufacturing. We got to bring the jobs back into our communities. And we want to develop manufacturing programs that produce renewable energy products and help create and retain 85,000 permanent good jobs within our states and our community, and can benefit up to 70,000 U.S. firms capable of making the required components, most located in 20 states hit hardest by manufacturing losses. In many of my speeches across the country, I talk about green jobs, and I talk about the benefits, the economic benefits, and the economic stimulation. And when I leave the podium, somebody will step up to me and say, boy, I get all that, but what are green jobs? And so I've learned to go back into my speeches and inject Green Jobs 101. Somebody has to design that wind turbine. That's a job. Somebody has to build that wind turbine. That's a job. Somebody has to install that wind turbine. That's a job. Someone has to maintain that wind turbine. That's a job. Someone must build the components for the turbine. Someone must train the people to install, manufacture, maintain. Those are jobs. And these are opportunities now that we're seeing in other places that we should see here in America. And I look at it as a valuable opportunity to level the playing field for all Americans, and as I mentioned, that pathway out of poverty, to where poor people and people of color and people from all walks of life can reap the benefits of this new green economy. We got to level the playing field. Sure, we can talk about, well, let's drive Prius. Well, Prius are wonderful, but poor people cannot afford a Prius. Especially when we're living in a time when people are having to make a decision whether they should buy a gallon of gas or a gallon of milk. Wow. So the reality is, how do we level the playing field? And I'm working with Congress on a regular basis to try to get them to promote legislation that's going to level the playing field and make energy more affordable. But at the same time, when these new green jobs are created, let's make sure that they are not all consumed by a certain economic level and that they reach all people in all places. We need to upgrade the nation's transmission grid to reduce costly blackouts and increase security of the grid from both the natural disasters and potential terrorist attacks. And it'll put thousands of linemen and women to work. And we believe that a $300 billion investment into Americans' economy and energy future over 10 years will produce 3.3 million jobs and a $1.43 trillion increase in the GDP. This is incredible. But what an opportunity. And as I often say, we have a narrow window of opportunity here. Because we're dealing with the impacts of global warming and a changing environment. I recently stood at the base of Kilimanjaro where the ice cap is melting. I then went to the Arctic region and spent time with the Gwich'in tribe in Alaska, northern Alaska, where the permafrost is melting from under their feet. And those of you that are from my state of Louisiana, and those of you that saw it on CNN in 2005, we experienced Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita. I'm an evacuee of both. And then 2 weeks later, National Wildlife Federation, which I was the chairman, sent me to Florida to talk about sea level rise, and I got caught in the eye of Hurricane Wilma. So hurricanes tend to follow me, but in 2005, we experienced 3 Category 4 and 5 hurricanes whose intensity was directly associated with the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, which was a result of global warming, and it was when the storms reached the Gulf, it was like adding steroids to the storm. So we don't have the luxury of time to fix this as we continue to discharge chemicals to the atmosphere and our economy continues to spiral. But we should build a world-class metropolitan rapid transit system with high-speed regional rail networks that would give 80% of Americans who live in metropolitan areas attractive, affordable, and convenient ways of shopping, school, and work. And we need to adopt a program we call Fix It First. Well, we need to fix the highway system that specifically embraces maintenance of high priority to a high priority of the American highway construction system. Now, there are programs already taking place in many states that are sort of doing the right thing, that are doing it the right way. I sat with a lady this morning who mentioned that she had gone to Germany, the legislator from Maryland, and she talked about going to Germany, and I made 7 trips to Germany last year because we need not reinvent the wheel. Some folks are doing it right. And I think that we have a movement here in America that is headed in the right direction. We are here and not the right direction, but in the correct direction. And I think that some of the policies that are being initiated both on the state legislature and federal are moving us the correct way. In LA, Los Angeles has a green jobs program that will retrofit city buildings and incorporate a green collar job training program. Now, we have a Los Angeles Apollo. I've had a chance to meet extensively with Mayor Verragosa and with Councilman Garcetti, and we've talked extensively about what you can do in LA to stimulate the economy by going green. In Chicago, Chicago has have trained participants in landscaping and urban gardening with computer refurbishing and recycling, household hazardous waste handling, and home weatherization. And so there are things going on in the states, the state of Washington. I was on the phone just several days ago with Senator Cantwell, and the state of Washington is moving forward. And Mayor Nichols in Seattle, that'd be maybe an aspiration for Mayor Nichols. Mayor Nichols in Seattle and the National Association of Mayors. I met with them. I was their keynote speaker at their conference in Miami several weeks ago. The mayors are now moving forward within the cities to promote green jobs programs that will help stimulate the economies within the cities. And here in New Orleans, the city that was devastated by Katrina, I've had the good fortune of sitting with Mayor Nagin, and I'm learning more about great programs where the city has worked to develop an energy policy task force to help fashion a sustainable energy future for the many diverse peoples of New Orleans. It's a New Orleans Green Power program, and it's proposed that it would empower consumers to meet their own energy needs by using conservation and efficiency and renewable generation.